Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is gonna be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today we're gonna talk about when a seller typically reduces and price cuts the home that they're trying to sell. The reason why this is so important is, as a buyer, we have to understand what we can get away with while negotiating. Now, the data that we are about to review is more pertaining to a normal, more balanced housing market, but I'll argue that as a result of the current housing market and the insane trends from quantitative tightening and affordability issues, sellers are going to desperately price cut on all days of the week and all hours of the night. Nevertheless, if you want to win your dream home eventually win your dream home, because now it's a little too early, you have to pay attention to a couple of the strategies that this article that we're going to read today is about to point out. And remember, purchasing a home is typically the largest, most important transaction of people's lives. So you need to treat it like that. And I hope you guys can do that with following along with me on these videos. I hope the data that I'm providing actually helps you with your own journey, guys. And for my efforts, for my channel, guys, do me a favor, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't leave me hanging. Shoot me a comment below. All right, it keeps me going. This is such hard work, you guys. I have a full-time W-2 job, so I'm not a full-time YouTuber. So I'm working at all hours of the night. Show me some love. I definitely appreciate you guys. I love you from the bottom of my heart, but let's get started on this video right now. So we're gonna jump into a Zillow article today, and I want you guys to pay attention to the optimism from Zillow. It's just like they can't help themselves, right? They cannot help themselves at being overly optimistic. That's all I can smell when I'm reading this article, but it does point out some really good stuff that I think is going to be interesting. The name of the article that we're going to read today from Zillow is titled, "Midweek Price Cuts Offer Black Friday Bargains for Home Shoppers." And I'm going to tell you guys right now, we're not getting Black Friday bargains on houses, so this is like a narrative that they're pushing. Look out for price cuts on Thursdays and don't expect many over the weekend. Typical price cuts are around 3% of the list price, which is nearly $11,000 on the typical home. Sellers typically cut prices 3 weeks after listing their home. So again, you guys, quick warning, super optimistic, right? They're starting it off, get a Black Friday deal, just go buy a house right now. Rates are down, right? Wrong, right? I mean, we already know Zillow. So here's the thing with Zillow, okay? They forecasted almost 18% property price growth this year. We're at 3% right now. So they were massively, massively off. And anyone that essentially purchased a home based on Zillow's over-optimism is more than likely currently upside down in their house. And that doesn't have to be you. All you need to do is make up your own mind, but review the data, right? Because no one knows your situation like you know your situation, and no one cares as much about you than you. Remember that when you go out in real estate. Hopping back into the article. With Black Friday coming up, shoppers of all kinds have their eyes peeled for great deals, including home shoppers. While the housing market rebalances, home shoppers who are able to afford today's market may be wondering when the best time is to look for a discount on their dream home. As the share of listings with a price cut reaches new heights, now may be the best time to find that deal on a house you love. So do you guys think it's the best time? Do me a favor, comment below. Let me know if you agree with the narrative that Zillow's pushing. Is it the best time to buy a house right now? TGI Thursday. The best time to get a home slashing its list price is right after Hump Day or Wednesday. More sellers, 18.5%, cut prices on a Thursday than any other day of the week, probably to get ready for Friday and the weekend. Why would you cut it on the weekend when that's the busiest time in real estate usually? That's the same day more homes are coming onto the market and catching the eyes of potential buyers. However, it's only slightly higher than the other core days of the work week. So if you see listings cut its price on Monday, don't risk missing out on a great home by waiting a few more days. What you can be sure of is seeing fewer cuts on Friday and the weekends. When home buyers are out shopping the deals that come through during the week, less than 14% of price cuts happen on Fridays, and less than 10% on Saturdays and Sundays. And here's a little chart that they made, y'all. And again, this is more mainly helpful in a normal market. But if you're going to buy a house, you're probably going to want to purchase the house or start negotiating and looking at houses, according to this data after Thursday, because you can see here Thursday is technically the biggest day. After Thursday, it goes down substantially. So essentially, it goes down sharply to 13.7 on Friday. But look at Saturday. Saturday drops all the way down to 5.8% because, again, that's when people are off of work and looking at houses generally. So the weekends are super busy in real estate, as are nights actually. And Sunday goes back to 9.9. But when the week starts, you guys can see here, Monday through Thursday, it's pretty much the same cutting, 17, 17, 17, 18. So again, you're probably going to want to shop like normal, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because more than likely, the homes that you look at are already going to have the price cuts built in. But remember, guys, what this article is not mentioning is you also want to look at DOM, which is days on market. And typically, the longer a home sits on the market and the higher the DOMs, normally the more likely it is for you as a buyer to negotiate the deal of your dreams. If a property is listed 2 days ago and you're already making offers on it, that generally is telling the seller that they have a hot property that's priced right and that they do not have to negotiate with you. But again, if that property is sitting on the market for 60 days, more than likely your opportunity to negotiate is here. Now let's jump back into the article and see what other points they want to bring up. Now this part of the article goes into what is the typical price cut when a seller drops their listing. So how much of a discount can I get? The typical listing with a price cut saw between 2.6 and 3.8% price reduction from 2008 to this year. But given how much homes have appreciated in the last few years, that now amounts to a double-digit discount, nearly $11,000. Home shoppers in Buffalo can snag the biggest bargain, where the typical price cut was 4.6% in September 2022. Insane. $11,291 off the original list price. Pittsburgh and Cleveland were close behind with a typical price cut of 4.2% and 4% respectively. Shoppers in Phoenix are going to see smaller reductions, where the typical price cut was 2.3%. But now that prices have risen roughly 43% since 2019, that 2.3% carries a larger punch. Close behind are Jacksonville and Denver with the typical price cut of 2.4%. So this is essentially saying, guys, right now, and as you can see this chart here, here's 2022 and here's multiple years. You can see that 2022 price cuts are still relatively low, and it's supposed to be, comparatively low. But I believe as a result, and a lot of what this article is saying, I think because of how much the home values went up, I believe going into the end of this year and into next year, we're actually going to see price cuts that average way more than 3%. In my own local housing market, a lot of the price deductions, guys, are 7 to 10%. And I can't wait to do my next housing market update video, because the new home builders that I've been watching that have been stubborn as far as price cuts have now started slashing their prices 7 to 8%. So again, this is good stuff, but I really want you guys to understand that normally right now, when a seller's cutting the price, it's about $11,000 off. And it usually happens when a typical seller cuts the price on their house. But again, you guys remember, home values went up about 40%. So more than likely, those price cuts are going to be sharp and extremely severe. Now let's finish out the article with something extremely interesting. This is going to go into at what point do sellers typically price cut the houses. So how long does it usually take? And you guys are going to see that it's actually changed drastically in 2022. Let's read. How long are homes listed before cutting prices? If a seller is going to cut their list price, it typically happens a month after listing. That's true for the bulk of the year outside of the winter months, which is when the housing market typically slows down. At that point, homes will have been listed for roughly 7 weeks before seeing a price cut. Because the pace of the market increased during the pandemic, current buyers can expect to see a seller cut their prices after about only 3 weeks on the market. So that's a record fast price cut, guys. 3 weeks is typically not a long time. Let's continue. Metros like Salt Lake City had a fast market even before a pandemic, and that's still the case. The typical time the first price cut was roughly 2 weeks in mid-October 2019, and is still around that level. That's wild. Meanwhile, Miami is known to have a slower market speed despite rapid price appreciation. That's really crazy about Miami, actually. In mid-October 2019, the typical home listed for 34 days before getting a price cut. That time is down to 30 days this year. So in other words, guys, we're going to want to see a DOM of about 30 days, but take a look at this chart. It takes sellers about a month after listing to cut the prices. After the pandemic, this jumped down to just under 3 weeks. So if you look here, guys, the typical time is, let's look pre-pandemic, which is the green line. So in 2018, normally a house was actually on the market for 50 days. In 2019 for 46 days before the price cut started happening. So you can see that's gone all the way down, okay, all the way down to 23 days. And here's what's going to happen, guys. As more and more distressed sellers start to sell in a distressed housing market, you're going to see the time it takes to reduce listing price speed up. And also, more than likely, we're going to start seeing an abundance of listings come back onto the MLS that are under market value, because traditionally, if you're desperately trying to sell, if you're an investor trying to dump property, or you're a distressed seller, typically a strategy is listing the property for 2% under the lowest priced house. So if people start playing that game, I'm going to list my property lower than yours and lower than yours, and they start selling, that's going to create a wave of comparable data or sold property that is going to drastically affect all of the surrounding areas of that local housing market. Do y'all understand what I mean? So when a home sells, it creates a comp. Comps are used for appraisals. Appraisals are used to determine the value of collateral for lending. And as you guys know, most people get financing when purchasing a house. But regardless, you guys, we're starting to see buyers' incentives come back to the market. And I think it's going to be historical. I think it's going to be a show in which we have never seen before. I think there's going to be some wicked offers right around the corner. There already is some decent offers, but I just said some wicked offers right around the corner. So in conclusion, you guys, a couple things that I want to pinpoint. So if you are out there looking for a house, and I am not saying this is the best time to do that, I am not saying that at all, but if you are, generally you're going to want to start looking at houses after Thursday, because Monday through Thursday is the most likely time when those properties are going to start having price cuts. Now, another thing, you're going to really want to focus on DOM, or days on the market. And unlike in 2008, where typically homes had to sit for 40 to 50 days, homes right now are cutting the prices in 3 weeks. So to me, that is a sign of distressed sellers that want to immediately sell their property. And here's something especially important that I want you guys to understand when it comes to purchasing real estate. Never ever show your emotions. Never, ever. I don't care who you're talking to, okay? If anyone gets wind that you love the house that you're negotiating on, often people will use that against you. So you have to have a poker face with all of the parties involved. And remember, you guys, even though there are some exceptional realtors, most of them are not exceptional, and most of them just want you to buy a house so that they can get a commission, right? That's how this works. So again, don't ever tell anyone outside your immediate circle, your immediate family, that you are in love or excited to go see a house. You have to go into purchasing poker face, okay? Now, when you leave the professionals, by all means, get excited, throw a party, whatever. But during the process, guys, I need you guys to be tough, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, other than that, guys, I really, really hope you guys got some value, insights, and perspective from today's video. And if you're out there investing in real estate, I do wish you luck, and I hope you win.